Good. So you know that part of our entertainment session is that we typically have a mystery guest here, and so let me, not keep you waiting very long. But who this mystery guest is? Perhaps some of you have already guessed who that person is. So please welcome on stage Dave Forney. Big round of applause. Dave, thank you very much for joining. It's a great honor. Okay, you didn't see anything, right? Great, thank you. Okay, Dave, can you please sit down here? Thank you very much for joining us here on stage. Now, Dave, I know you're very busy, and I'm sure that many times you've been asked to be here on stage, and of course, I hope it's okay that this thing is recorded. Now, we thought that we do something a little bit more unusual this time, and we're not just going to record you, but if it's okay with you, we would like to paint you during the interview. Is that okay with you? So we have, that's okay, right? Now, I have to warn you, the painter is, she's very gifted, but she has a somewhat unusual style. So, I hope that's okay with you, okay? So, please welcome on stage Liz Cox. Liz, thank you very much. I see you brought the stuff. We actually also, provided you some tools here. Thank you very much. I know you're very busy with all your exhibits. I hope everything is okay here. Now, Dave, do you have any preferred side? I mean, like a better side? Is that okay? That will work? Okay, so great. Thank you very much. And we'll get started and we'll check in with you maybe in about 10, 15 minutes, I hope. Okay, so just that you have a little bit an idea how this goes. Now, you know that typically here at ITA we're quite informal, and typically I would be sitting here in shorts, but I thought that if we're interviewing a person that writes even his SMS in perfect English, I thought I'd better, a little bit upgrade here, so no disrespect to all the previous people that were up here, but, so that's how it goes. Now, Dave, you are one of the, few people in our community that has his own Wikipedia page here. Okay, and that's actually a real one, as opposed to many other ones that we faked over the years. And so, you can of course look here. I guess many of you know all the awards that David has received. Not all of them are written down here, but I guess you get a quick idea. Now, let me just quickly run over some of the major points so that we get started. This is who?
G. David.
This is G. David. Roughly at which age?
Roughly 4 years old.
Roughly 4 years old. A few years later, Dave went to Princeton. I must say, you still look exactly the same. So, that must have... now, after Princeton, of course, you went on then to... MIT, and there you got your, of course, master's and PhD. And let's jump right away a little bit further to, you spent most of your career, besides, of course, the time you spent at Stanford and at MIT, at a particular company. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Codex Corporation. This is something that I wrote on the 25th anniversary of Codex. All right, 25th anniversary of Codex. Codex was founded in '62. I wasn't there then. It was founded around Bob Gallagher's and Jim Massey's coding ideas as of that time, not low-density parity check codes. Codex had the opportunity to get a patent on low-density parity check codes and figured they would never be useful. So that kind of was the hallmark of the first 10 years. Bad decisions.
And so then, we were, of course, mostly involved in the beginning in the development of the 9600 bit modem.
That didn't come for some time. I was first involved in coding for space communications, sequential decoding, first code in space, in the Pioneer system. The modem work was something that came in from outside, from Santa Barbara. Jerry Holsinger had a single sideband modem that we bought the rights to, and that was our first generation modem, in which I was really not involved. Unfortunately, it didn't work that well. It was We sold something like 300 of them. It was actually only 100 of them. They went out, came back, went out, came back.
Well, that's one way to boost sales. Now, any of your space, your work on space, is that still, floating around somewhere?
It is still, the first Pioneer, last I heard, was still floating out. It had gotten beyond the edge of the solar system, and it was still transmitting at 8 bits per second, and it was transmitting 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. There's nothing here, there's nothing here.
Now, of course, we could spend, just 2 hours solid just talking about, time at Codex, but I think that, this is probably the period of your life that people would be most familiar. So if it's okay with you, I would like to touch on a few other aspects of your life. Now, let's just ask the audience, Dave has many skills. Who thinks that, I give you 3 options. Dave has a license to be a forklift operator. Dave has a pilot license, or he has the second certificate in Morse code. What do you think? Pilot. That's the only thing? Nobody's for forklift operator? Come on. You'll be surprised. No, you won't. Okay, so you won't really be surprised. Okay, so this is something that Dave did fairly early on. Can you tell us a little bit something about this trip? In particular, I heard that you love to do solo flying.
Well, I think I know what you're talking about. The trip was with my stepbrother, John McDonnell, and we went all the way around South America in the summer of my sophomore year at Princeton, when he was a junior at Princeton. But before that, of course, I had to get my pilot's license, and I think that's what you're talking about, my second solo flight. Liz really wanted to hear about this during this session when I was practicing stalls. And this was in a little Piper Cub kind of thing made out of balsa wood. And what you do is you pull back the throttle, and the plane flops over, and you're supposed to pull out of it. Well, at one point I pulled back the throttle, and the engine went out.
That's not supposed to be?
That's not supposed to happen at 4,000 feet in the air. Furthermore, these planes don't have starters, right? This was still the era where
that could be improved.
Stands up and say contact, boom, and it goes to life. So the first thing I tried was to dive to see if I could windmill the propeller around. That didn't work. I lost about half my altitude at that point. Then I figured I'd better find a place to land. It better be somewhere near the highway so I could get back to the airport easily. And
thinking ahead here, I guess most people would have been glad to be just alive.
So I picked out a field, and long story short, I went into my pattern and landed it.
Well, we are glad that your piloting skills are that good, because otherwise we wouldn't be so lucky to have you here. Now, anything interesting on the trip? If you look a little bit here, it seems you had lots of local interesting stories here.
Yeah, you see who's the one with the girls and who's taking the picture.
Yeah, you're taking the picture. Yeah, sorry about that. Good. Now, you're not just exploring the world in a plane, but you're also exploring, it seems, the world by boat. This one is called Four Captains.
Four Captains, yes. There's no doubt who the real captain was, but he allowed us all to call ourselves captains for a while.
So there's, of course, you, then Gottfried, Dick Playhood, and Jim Massey here. Now, there seems to be a theme here, because we don't just have this picture, we have another picture here. And, if you look at that, it's kind of curious. There are 6 captains, 1 crew member. And I think the person taking a picture was also a captain. Was that kind of the standard these days to do that?
Yeah, Gottfried was so good at doing everything that we just made him crew, and he figured it out after 24 hours.
But I heard from a crew member who likes to be anonymous that about 5 minutes after this picture was taken, the 7 captains ran the boat into a sandbank. Is that true? And it was only through the heroic efforts of the crew member, who doesn't want to be mentioned, that actually the boat was rescued.
Okay, if that's what he says, I'll go with it.
Is that maybe a case of too many captains sinking a boat? No. Good.
Yeah.
Now we have a few other pictures here. Here, you're on, I think that's Galapagos Islands. Is that correct?
I don't think so. We didn't sail.
I think this was just you.
This was a different trip.
Right.
We did sail in the Galapagos
Right.
Islands. I didn't.
But I heard that boat also sank. Well, have you ever been on the Titanic
2 years
by any
later,
chance?
2 years later.
Oh, 2 years later. Well, okay. That's then I guess that's fine. Now, here it looks like it's very, glorious. You're right away at captain, but I heard that it wasn't that easy. You had to work your way, up through the ranks. So how does one get started in that business?
This was more like my final rank. I worked my way down to being dinghy boy.
So that's above or below anchor boy, because I heard that was also one of your jobs.
Well, I was also anchor boy, but then I was demoted.
Oh, I see. What you dropped the anchor in the wrong space, or on someone, or what happened?
I don't remember, but general incompetence. I remember at one point, Gottfried said, "Did you really design that 9600-bit modem all by yourself?"
And did you?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. Okay, good. Now, good. Here is something. I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to do here.
Gosh, neither am I.
It seems to be an egg that you're trying to balance, crush, find. I don't know, hide.
I guess we're on the equator here. And we're doing an experiment having to do with Coriolis forces and an egg. But you'll have to remind me how the experiment goes.
I have no idea. I thought that you would be able to tell us. I just got the picture. We just tried to find sources, but okay. So well, let's move on a little bit. We go back a little bit in time and look a little bit at some of your colleagues. That's a very old picture. I think it's from Tallinn in 1973.
Yes.
I'm not sure you are on there, but I guess we see a few people.
I think I am behind Yaglom.
I see. So this is Toby Berger.
No, I think that's Bob Gallagher. There's Tom Kylath.
Oh, this is
Cover
Kyla?
is up there. Kylath's down here.
This is Cover?
Yes.
This is Cover?
That's Cover. You
Yes,
bet.
I think so. Yeah.
There's
So where are you?
Elwyn Burley-Camp. Well, I'm not sure. I now think that's Bob Gallagher, isn't it, behind Yaglom? And Fred Jelinek and Jack Wolf, isn't that? David Slepian, Boris Sibikov, Toby Berger, of course, Ruth Gallagher, and I don't see me. You're right.
Now I think we can even top that picture. Okay, believe it or not. Look at that one. Who is that?
That's me.
That's you. Okay, perfect. So here we have you. Maybe any other person of note in this picture?
Well, I recognize Lee Davison over on the left. And
Yeah, I guess that's about it. No.
this was at the right after the Tallinn conference was right before the 1973 Information Theory Conference in Israel, Ashkelon, where Shannon gave the first Shannon lecture, and he was just nervous as a witch about it, and he was not in the greatest shape at that time, but he produced a wonderful lecture on feedback, and that was the start of the Shannon lecture series.
Let's just quickly check. Is it going okay? You think you'll manage? Okay, we'll probably get to you very soon. Okay, so now let's go a little bit further. Here we have you with various colleagues. Dan Costello, I guess that was what kind of award?
I think Dan talked about this last year. This was the Fink Prize.
And I guess here you were honored for your presidencyship, I think.
This was my emergency presidency of the IT Society. Yes.
Good. Now here we'll have a few more pictures with some of your colleagues here. Okay. Now one thing I must say is that you always look very happy. You might look particularly happy here. Any of these events that you want to tell us a little bit something about? What were they?
Well, I think that was actually Andrea's birthday party, which she held at MIT, at the MIT ISIT, and we had a sort of thing going.
How much time do we have?
She would be very sad if I didn't mention that I call her Sugar Lips, and she calls me Sweetie.
Interesting. Good. Now, we have a few extra ones. This is from, I guess, the Ungerberg's, what was it, 65th birthday? Or that, I guess, here with your various colleagues. I guess you see Pixie up here, and I guess you see a few pictures, nice pictures from hikes that you have done. Now, let me get to another one of your talents. Okay, that actually in the beginning I did not believe when I heard the rumors, okay? If you look at that, okay, we see all the awards, but then there's a little bit, I'm not sure you can see that, okay? He's known to be a ferocious squash player, okay? Now, you want to tell, I have a few, I have a few quotes from your opponents, but before I would like to give you a chance to maybe say a little bit something yourself about that.
Well, I'm a little surprised that Archive didn't edit that out.
No, I think this seems to be quite memorable. Let me just tell you a few quotes from a person that plays you, frequently played against you. He mentioned that you're ferocious in manner, suffocatingly tenacious, and at 17 years old at heart, sheer determination and unswerving commitment to the goal of utterly crushing your opponent. And then he quotes further, he says, this frequently involves Dave hurling himself with abandon around the squash court to return a shot, regardless of the severity of risk of personal injury to himself. Sometimes his heroics were so dramatic, with sometimes epic crashes into walls or floors, I would find myself frozen by the spectacle like I was watching a movie. And he says that playing against you was like, it felt the rules were like 2 men enter, 1 man leaves.
Greg Gornell, I assume.
Maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't know. Good. So you still playing squash?
Unfortunately, I gave it up 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. But you had the highest admirations of your opponents, and heard that not just from this one person whom I don't want to mention, but many other ones too. Now, I think it's time that we check in with our artist and see a little bit. Are you more or less ready? Can we go? So let me just have a look to see. I guess because we need to show it to the audience, I will take maybe a small picture. Oh wow! Oh, you said it was okay, right? Okay, so let me take a quick picture here, and let me just try to put this up here. I hope I manage. Okay, just put it up here. Okay, let's hope that this actually works. Not quite sure how I did that. Would you please like to join us here? So let's see what the result is. Okay, sorry. This was not. Sorry, I just. Okay, this was not the result. Okay, so let's look at that. Are you ready, Dave? Yes.
Shoot.
You ready too? You want to see? Okay. I think I should take on squash playing. It seems to do you good. What do you say about that, Dave?
Thanks.
I'm quite impressed by the details, the strategically placed transaction of information here. I think actually, if I see this correctly, you even have a paper in there, I think. But we won't tell you which one, okay? Good. What's that up there in my hands? I'm not sure. Is that perhaps a modem?
That might be a modem. Doesn't look like one of mine.
Oh. Sorry. Okay.
Right.
Good. Well, I'm sorry. Okay. Now let's go a little bit further. So perhaps we can turn a little bit to the left here. Liz, you can tell us a little bit something about this picture here.
Well, it's a happy day.
Okay. Sorry.
Happy day.
When was that?
When you're my age and you're getting married for the first time, you'll kind of have a hard time finding the right dress. And this seemed to me to be about it. And then I had no trouble finding it, but finding a suit that Dave would wear was a bit of a problem, and that was the one that I came up with. And it's now my favorite suit on him, and I think he likes it, but I'm not sure he did when he saw it.
While you look absolutely beautiful in there, I have a few other ones that I found. This is from the New York Times. It's one of my favorite pictures up here, Dave and Liz here. And we have another one, which is also very beautiful. Look at that. Isn't this nice? Can we have a little bit some applause for the beautiful bride and groom here? Now, we used to start in having these meetings at UCSD, and it was a very nice location, and we went to the Catamaran, it was even a nicer location. Now we are here, so how could you possibly still top that? But I think Dave and Liz found a solution. Okay, so this is what they got just for ITA next year. Dave, you want to talk a little bit about that?
The top picture shows the island opposite Liz's house on the Westport River in the south coast of Massachusetts. This is the West Branch, the Westport River. That's our dock, and that's the island that we see out there that people keep trying to develop, or they did. And finally, we had an opportunity to buy the island, and we did. And so it's going to be like that for a while. Now, if the ITA comes next year, this is our development plan for the island.
So I guess you can choose one of these beautiful seaside condos here, right? Right. And then for leisurely walks on the beach down here. Great. So next year, please mark in your calendars. Great islands in where's that?
Westport. Mass.
Westport. Perfect. Well, maybe we change the timing a little bit. Okay, that's a minor issue. Okay. Good. Now, what about this one here? Liz, you want to comment a little bit on this?
Oh, well, let's see. The year that we were married, the year after we were married, we bought a house, and we were out in California when the house came on the market. We'd been looking for a year, and our realtor called us and said, I know that you've only been out there for 5 days and you're not going to want to hear this, but the house that you want is coming on the market. And so we did some, and she said, it's not going to keep. You know how tight the market's been. And so anyway, to make a long story short, we bought it from California. And then we came back and we saw what we'd bought and decided to make a few changes and ended up gutting it. And so this is the picture when it had been gutted, and that's where the stairs went eventually. And that is my little Shih Tzu, Kui, who is now 16 years old and deaf and blind and struggling with this week in Cambridge, which is 1 foot of snow after the next. And you need to keep shoveling a place for her. And now we're living in that house, and it's a wonderful house, and one of the reasons that we don't come out every winter for 3 months is because I won't leave my house.
Now, let me ask you a little bit something. Like when Dave has to put like a nail in the wall, okay, does he first go out and buy the biggest power tools he can find, or how does he do that? No power tools. No power tools, so he's handy around.
That would be dangerous.
He's handy. Oh, I see. Good. So now let me ask you about a few other things about your domestic life. So let's check. When we see Dave, is Dave more like the chef type, or is he more the sous chef type?
Oh. Well, sous chef might be a little bit higher level than.
Don't hold back. We
were first married, and Dave noticed that he liked the way I cooked, which was very nice, and I love to cook. And but it was getting so there was always more to do than I could do. And so one day he very kindly said, "Is there anything I can do to help?" And I said, "Yes. Could you just peel this onion and chop it?" And so he said, "Sure." And he took out one of the sharp knives, and about 10 minutes later, I kind of needed the onion, and I looked over to see how it was going, and I decided that I had put his fingers at risk. And so I took the onion and the knife away from him, and he said, "Couldn't you find me something to do that I could be a little better at?" And so as a result, before I had met Dave, I had been seeing a man who was a wonderful cook, and he had not let me do much except chop the parsley, but he did let me light the candles. And finally, he had donned the job, candle management. And so Dave is now in our ménage in charge of candle management, which is, we think, a promotion from Dingy Boy.
So, so you basically have a career anchor boy, dinghy boy, and that. So, congratulations. I see a bright future for you, Dave. Now, maybe the last question on domestic issues. Any particular, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, something mentioned. So, one thing that I know for sure is that Dave is actually responsible for shopping, but he does it in an unusual way. Okay, sorry, we have to go back. That's supposedly the way Dave gets his food, and he seems to be successful at it too, okay? So, Dave, congratulations. That seems to be going well.
Yeah, they only have hamburgers in the wild in South America.
So that's what you picked up from your South America trip, I presume, right?
Yes.
Good. Let's go on a little bit further. I guess, yeah. I heard there's some particular grooming habits you have developed. No?
Well, I went to the zoo yesterday. And there were these monkeys nitpicking. And it seemed always that the one monkey was picking the other monkey that never seemed to reverse. And it kind of reminded me of if I dry off Dave's back after a shower, I sort of start doing the same thing. And so it was a good day at the zoo. And I don't know how you... I was just glad to see that, we hadn't started something new.
The next thing is a question to the audience. Let's ask a random person in the audience. Is Shlomo here? Shlomo? No, I guess he's not. Shlomo is not here. So, which of the two offices you think is Dave's? Left or right? Which left? My left? Your left? This left. Okay. Dave, can you fill us in?
Well, I just want to tell you that Liz thinks this office is messy.
So let's hone in a little bit. This is, of course, our hero. I guess 2 of your awards here. And I looked for a while, but I was glad to see that you have all the important books in your library. This looks like a perfect office. Anyone knows whose this other office is? Of course, right? There were interesting details in that picture as well, okay? Good. We'll get towards the end, but we have still a few pictures. Dave, perhaps you want to comment a little bit on that?
These are my kids and their spouses. That's William on the left with his pregnant wife, Paige. That's my son, Mark, in the back, and his wife, Maria. My daughter, Jill, and her husband, Mike. And then there's Liz and me. This was at my 70th birthday party quite a few years ago now.
I guess we have a second one which is somehow similar in spirit, right? I guess it's again the family here.
Yeah, this is some of my grandkids. This is when they all rented a house out in western Massachusetts. This is what counts for a mountain in Massachusetts. And you see, well, I won't name them all, but I have 9 grandkids in all, and they're a lot of fun.
Now we have further evidence, Dave, that you're an amazing grandfather too. Although we have heard some complaints that in your choice of toys, you're a little bit peculiar. Also, I think you're not supposed to eat them, right? But, these are minor squibbles, we won't hold that against you. So let me just, wrap up here. We have something that might look familiar. We used to only broadcast that, internally, then it went, of course, national. Now we have, we'll, also send it out in space. And we used the 2 Voyagers because they seem to have a pretty good coding scheme, all right? So let's quickly, before we send it out, let's just quickly summarize everything, okay? Just to make sure that it's all fine. So there will be choices and we'll have to go through it. Dave's favorite algorithm is which of the two? Dynamic programming or lazy learning? Dave?
I'd say dynamic programming.
Good, right.
Except
Okay, which of the two is Dave at age 4? Let's pick the top one. Dave's favorite sport, let's just make sure that we got that right. Okay. Now, Dave's way of going shopping. Okay, here is Dave going shopping. Now, Dave is the member of which prestigious group? The 4 captains or the 4 tenors? Dave?
captains. Please.
Okay. We also clarified which of these offices is actually yours, right? We said that this was the bottom one. Just to make sure, I was a little bit confused about the wedding invitations. Which of the two is yours? I guess we'll figure this out. Dave's favorite way of exploring South America was by horse or by plane. I guess we discovered that. Still, Dave's favorite island, I guess, are David. The green island is, of course, the transaction of information theory. Our favorite Dave is the one on top. Okay, and we also discovered who is top chef in the household. So let's just make sure that we have this all right. So I guess the path we took was that. So that gives us that message. What the hell is that? Oh, we have to read it right to left. Dave and Liz, thank you very much, Dave and Liz.
Thank you.
So we still have we have two very small presents for you. The first one, let me give that to Liz. It's from our other artist in residence. That's modeled after your picture, after your wedding picture. And the second one for Dave. Just hold on a second. Okay. So this is La Croix Fournée. I hope you will have a nice dinner with that. And Dave, thank you very much. Liz, thank you very much. A big applause of...
Just wait a moment as we set up for ITA, the second part of ITAVision. Oh, now a special announcement from Dan Costello.
Special announcement. Many of you know Bob McLeese, and those of you that know him know that he's been quite ill. A couple of us are going to visit Bob tomorrow, and we've got a couple of cards here that we'd like those of you that know Bob to sign. I'll leave them on the table right here, and when you exit this afternoon, please sign the card and we'll deliver them to Bob tomorrow. Thanks.
Yeah, we're going to use this. We can put it on the judging table after. Four chairs. No, you can say it. We have it on a power. We'll put it on a power. Yeah, you're sitting. You got your judging table. Alex.
Thank you.
Ready? Go ahead. Start playing. You're good? You need a... Say it.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Welcome to ITAVision, the world's first scientific music video competition.
We're going to be your hosts for this afternoon.
I am Alex.
I'm Anand. And this is our lovely assistant, Shri. So about the competition, we had 9 video submissions in total. We're going to show you all of them. They're in a variety of genres. And now Alex will introduce the judges.
Right, so in helping us make this difficult funding decision, we have a panel of distinguished experts that I will introduce. So we have Professor Ubli Mitra from USC. Let's hear it for Ubli. Professor Tony Efremidis from University of Maryland. Professor Lalita Sankar from Arizona State. And Professor Tara Javidi from next door, right here.
Okay, so here's how this is going to work. We're going to show each of the videos, then we're going to get a little few bits of feedback from our judges. We've randomized the order, so this is the order of the submissions. We're going to iterate on this process for all 9 videos, and then we'll have a panel discussion, which I promise you will be more exciting than anything you'll see at the NSF. We also sent out an email earlier this afternoon with a link to an online poll where you can vote. They're going to vote 1 to 10, but we're going to let you only vote 1 to 5. But there's an audience choice award as well. So please do vote. You can load it up on your phones.
Please do get and vote. And I want to say that we will be completely ignoring your decisions for how you vote.
But still do vote.
But still you get to vote. It will be our distinguished judges who will make the decisions. The important thing I want to say is they can make their decision based on videography, song quality, lyrics quality, funniness, or anything else they choose. They may also choose to ignore or take into account your excitement and clapping. So please feel free to, try to influence them to the best of your power. Okay. So I guess we can start. The first video is from Middle Eastern Technical University. Why is this happening? Maybe we should just... No, you can switch it from here. Yeah. So the first submission we had is from Middle Eastern Technical University. This works. Whenever we're ready, we will play it. Maybe not.
When you're ready, go and send it. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. When you're ready, go and send it. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. When you're ready, when you're ready, when you're ready, go and send it. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. Don't worry, it's a wireless transmission. I'll be buffering the data relocation. All day, all night, I'll be waiting standby, harvesting the energy until you are ready. All day, all night, maybe I'm lazy for a purpose. I'm not too fast to send data, but I got no delay. Control it so well that this battery ain't finished yet. Battery finished yet. So baby, whenever you're ready, when you're ready, go and send it. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na na na. When you're ready, go and send it. Na 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 na, na na na, na na na. When you're ready, when you're ready. When you're ready, go and send it. Na 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 na, na 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 na,
Okay, and this was the first submission. I think I noticed a judge in the video. I'm sure this is not a conflict of interest of any kind. Okay, so let's hear it. Ubli.
Well, I was going to say, I think this might be the first time I've seen equations and the word baby at ITA. So that in itself, I think, is a first.
That gives points. No, wait. Before we go, you can tell us your score from 1 to 10. 10 is great, 1 is not so great. So give us a number and we will add it here in real time.
Wow.
Hard decisions.
I,
Okay, you can change your numbers later during the panel discussion, may I say.
Okay, so here's the thing. I remember Elif's PhD work, and this really reminded me of it. It was so beautiful. I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
Oh my God. Wow.
So, you know, I have been working recently on the age of information. It's like I had a premonition that one time I would see the best possible introduction to the subject. I think I'm going to use it in my class. I give it a 10.
A 10. Okay.
So all I got out of it was girls just want to have fun. So I'm going to give it a 9.
I'm not. I'm just a star. They taped it without my permission.
Okay, we can hear a number. We understand.
Can I
You
wait
can-
and send it when I'm ready?
No. You give us one and you can change it during the panel discussion. Oh, maybe I lost something here.
I was just being lazy. It's okay. I'll say 10-2 for networking purposes.
Perfect. Okay. Okay, second submission from the University of Porto, titled Claude Shannon. Yes, we also have titles for the songs. Titled Claude Shannon.
Claude Shannon, I've just met a man named Claude Shannon, and suddenly that name will never be the same to me. Claude Shannon, I've just met a man named Claude Shannon, and suddenly I found how wonderful a sound can be. Claude Shannon, say it loud and there's music playing. Say it soft and it's almost like praying. Claude Shannon, I'll never stop saying Claude Shannon.
A brilliant submission. Okay, so Ubli, what is it?
you know, I'm feeling very swayed by the audience. I felt a lot of love for this one. So I'm going to give it an 8.
You know, I give Joao credit for the chutzpah he had. First of all, to call Shannon's name in vain, and especially in that context. I was torn. I mean, it's brief, it's beautifully rendered, and he had the courage to look at you in the eye. But I think that it lacks some qualities of what we expect in a video. And so my first impulse to give it a very high grade is moderated a little bit. So I will give him a 9.
Oh, okay.
Joao is here? Joao. Okay, ISIT 2012, MIT. My best dance partner, Dr. Baruch. So I can only give you a 6. Where's the dance?
Okay.
I kind of agree with Lalita. The singing was great, looking me in the eye was great, but I wanted to see the full package. And it was missing.
Well, on that note,
I'll give it an 8.
an 8. All right. Our next submission is from Boston University by Bobak Nazar. It's entitled Lattice Code.
Has a strange compunction to compute a function. Your channel can share the load. Lattice code, lattice code, lattice code. Will like take the X source instead of its respectors. Structural crucial link is known. Lattice code, lattice code, lattice code. Playing your channel's nice. It lets us have things in the air. The lattice will suffice. We need more we can land to do, compute, and forward. Here's some advice that I heard. Remember it down the road. Lattice code, lattice code, lattice code.
It keeps going.
Is Babak here?
No, no, he's not.
How much money has he made off of this poor dog video?
Donates all the money to charity.
The dog donates all the money to dog
It's
food.
just totally, he's taking advantage of this poor dog's charm.
All right, so I guess we can start from Tara this time. Let's do it this way. Yeah.
That's what.
That
Oops,
was it.
this is-
Okay,
yeah.
give us a number. We have time constraints here.
Uh,
No rush.
6.
6. Okay. 6. Lalita.
It's 2 doggy and 2 dreamy. 7.
7.
Well, you know, I'm not a person with pets, and you know.
This is not looking good.
This confirmed my worst fear: computing dog, or a talking dog. I'm sorry, I'll give it a 4.
Wow, and a disappointing 4 from the Greek judge. So I'm also not a dog person, but I'm feeling that this video needs some sympathy. So I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay, very good. So the next one is by none other by Anand himself, which is also a judge and organizer selecting the judge committee. So there's no possible conflict of interest that I see. So the title is Lossless. Let's see it.
Our source is finer than the rest. It takes values in a set that's uncountable. And we're feeling very stressed. We want to store with high fidelity, but every textbook's like Huffman, Shannon, arithmetic coding, Burroughs, Wheeler, context is dating, they won't work. Our distribution is not history, but every textbook's like Kraft, Macmillan, prefix-free encoding.
Proof that engineers don't have rhythm.
Run length encoding, they won't work. We have an alphabet that's too big. We can never be lossless. We're too continuous. Those kind of bits just ain't for us. We crave a different kind of crush. Let me be a quantizer. I promise that I'm discreet, and baby I'll code. Let me reach that entropy. We have to send our source along. The data's got to reach the end of a channel. We capacity must bound our rate. We have to pay a distortion penalty. But every text looks like Huffman, Shannon, arithmetic coding, Burroughs, Wheeler, context series of waiting, they won't work. Our distribution is not discrete, but everybody's like Kraft, Macmillan, prefix-free encoding, LZ, Tungstar, run length encoding, they won't work. We have an alphabet that's too big, we can never be lossless. We're too continuous, those kind of bits just ain't for us. We need a different kind of trust. Let me be your quantizer. Promise that I'm discreet, and baby I'll code. Let me reach that entropy. Metric quantization's good. We need a rate distortion code. Our source is just too smooth. We must discretize it to transmit. We can never be lossless. We're too continuous. Those kind of bits just ain't for us. We need a different kind of trust. Let me be your quantizer. I promise that I'm discreet. Baby, I'll code. Let me reach that entropy.
Or not.
I think this had everything. I give it a 10.
10.
I have told Anand that he has talent, and I think this is ample proof. He's an actor, he's a singer, and he shows he's a director too. This is a new way of teaching. I mean, think about it. I mean, the first video we saw and this one combine technical information with delightful entertainment. 10!
Tony and Oogly have said it all. I'm just at a loss for words. A 10.
Wow.
Now I feel I am the only bad person on this panel. First of all, the same thing. I wanted to see the full package, and it was like some feet in the water. That's not
Have you
enough.
co-authored papers with the
Secondly,
with the
it
PI?
was psychedelic, right? It was like good, good for some, I don't know, experimental, movie competition. But here, I wanted to see rhythm. I'll give it a 7.5.
All right.
This just goes to show that publishing with the judges can be a disadvantage.
It's true. Oof. Okay, I promise I'll edit. I'll do edits tonight. All right, the next submission is from UT Austin. We have 2 submissions from UT Austin. This is the first one by Robert Heath, entitled "Killing My Research with His Pen." You may or may not be able to guess what song it's to.
I heard he was a good prof. I heard he used to smile. And so I joined his group, took courses for a while. Then I found a research problem, solved it overnight. Reading my paper once again, shredding my work with his words, doing my research with his pen, killing my research with his pen, stalling my whole life with his mark. I was excited to show him, a little scared in fact. I thought that he would see my theorem was exact. I prayed that he would like it, but he just kept right on reading my paper once again, shredding my work with his words, killing my research with his pen, killing my research with his pen, stalling my whole life with his marks, killing my research with his pen. He read as if he knew it was full of bad mistakes. And then he spilled his coffee, went on like it wasn't there. And he just kept on reading, coffee stain and all. Reading my paper once again, shredding my work with his words, killing my research with his pen, killing my research with his pen, stalling my whole life with his mind.
All right. Judges, some harsh truth about graduate school.
Okay. So I'll go first this time. You know, this is a perfect deterrent for students to come into our field. I mean, this funereal pace of the song in the background. I mean, I felt depressed. So yes, it was funny, but its value got so. 5.
Oh! 5. Tara? We're doing some interleaving when you jump from. Okay, interesting. Okay, Tara, let's hear it.
Oh man, that is hard. I like that. I'll give it an 8.
Okay,
I'm stingy.
Javita.
I love reality, man. That was my past 2 weeks back. A 9.
Oh, wow. And Ubli.
I don't know. I felt it kind of lacked in kind of musicality, emotion.
Emotion was there.
I was going to give it a 2.
Oh, he's giving a credit card?
Okay, so La Jolla Shores Bar tonight. What do you say? 9 o'clock? It's on Robert? Okay, I'll give it a 9.4.
If you offer some cash, I might reconsider.
He only offers credit cards. He doesn't offer cash. Okay, so the next submission, this was flawless. So the next submission is from Chinese University of Hong Kong. Sid Jaggi and Minghua made the video with their students. A musical introduction to the information theories of the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Let's see it.
恨無雙飛天。素秋啊素秋，
ਸਟੈਪ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਸਿੰਗਲ ਧਮਾਲ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣੀ ਖੱਬੀ ਬਾਂਹ ਬਾਹਰ ਕੱਢਣੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਲੱਤ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਚਲਾਉਣੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ 1 2 ਤੇ ਸੱਜੀ ਬਾਂਹ 3 ਤੇ 4।
Oh, okay. We can. So, all right. Wonderful. Yeah. So wonderful introduction. And invitation. we have three more.
I love music. But I wanted the dance. No bhangra in 1, 2, 3. What is that? 7.5.
7.5. All right. Tara is speechless. Tony.
So everybody knows my secret. I sing in the bathroom. Okay, I'm an opera. And this brought memories of when I was singing Turandot this was operatic, a mixture of Chinese opera and some Swiss yodeling. I think this was very nicely put together. 9.
Ooh. Oh, there you go.
I really feel that the originators of this video were completely exploiting the ISIT factor. And I want to know that I'm not swayed by that.
What
I'm
if they added
swayed
big
by
data?
other things. I'm going to give it a 7.
Tara?
Can you arrange a nice hotel in Hong Kong? I'll give it a 7.
Oh, all right. All right, moving on. We have the final third of our, yes, thank you. Our final third of the competition. So next video is from the Illinois Institute of Technology. First from Salim, our previous champion, titled ITA.
Young man, there's no need to feel down. I say, young man, leave that journal on the ground. I say, young man, pack your stuff for the sun. You'll only need your PPT. Young man, we're off to San Diego. I say, young man, hurry, don't be a nerdo. We'll hang out there, and I'm sure you'll find many talks to sleep through. It's fun to come to the ITA. It's fun to come to the ITA. They have everything meant for you to enjoy. You can hang out with all the boys. ITA. It's fun to come to the ITA. Shannon Bits entropy, conversing capacity.
Yeah,
whoa.
Oh, whoa.
All right, judges.
So Unfortunately, I feel about minions very much the way I feel about pets.
Not looking good.
I feel about minions the same way I feel about pets. Which I'm sorry, Slim, you couldn't have known, but I've got an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. So I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Well, I told you not to put an old man on the panel here. I mean, I just don't like cartoons so much. So I don't know, 6.
Young men and boys, and you have a panel of a not so young man and 3 girls. I'm sorry. I'm gonna give it a 6.
6.
I like the music. It was creative. I hate cartoons. I'm sorry. It's not Kid Factory. Even my kids hate cartoons, I think. I think. But what's up with the boys hanging out?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be nice. 7.8.
Oh. Okay. Okay, very good. Another cartoon, the submission from Princeton, Sudeep Kamath. The title is, I don't remember the title. The Encoder Sleeps Tonight.
We hum away. We hum away. In the encoder, random encoder, the message sees the green light. In the encoder, random encoder, the message sees the green light. We hum away. We hum away. Through the channel, the noisy channel, the code word sent all right. Through the channel, the noisy channel, the code word sent all right. We hum away. We hum away. At the decoder, ML decoder, the message's in plain sight. At the decoder, ML decoder, the message's in plain sight. We hum away.
Okay, I think we give them So this had cartoons and dogs, so panelists, give them a round of applause. So we're coming up on time, so you gotta make up quick here, your comments.
So we love the song in our house. Laurie Berkner's version of it is the best. But is it a repetition code?
Ooh.
7.
7. All right.
So you know my views about cartoons. But
Repetition code.
well, I'm conflicted. You know, Princeton was my alma mater, right? And so
Yeah. And the music was awesome.
you know, if I could have your pen to make some corrections on it, I don't know. 6.
6. Ooh.
In the spirit of consistency, 7.5.
Oh, all right. Spirit of consistency. All right.
It had dogs, cartoons, and no full package showing, no dancing. And plus, Sudeep, do you regret going to Princeton instead of staying at UCSD? I'll give it a 7.
All right.
Change. Who doesn't want a hippopotamus for Christmas? 7.5.
7.5. All right. Okay. Well. All right. And our last video is by my co-host, also not a conflict of interest, Alex Dimakis here, and his colleague Konstantin Karamanis, and their band, The Garlic something. The Garlic Beats. And it's called Shannon's Defense.
Λοιπόν, εκεί στο 4 κανάλι που έχεις πατήσει mute, unmute. Πέρα πάνω για ξύνη ιστορία, που έδιωξα να την Αθήνα τα θηρία, που έδιωξε βασίλης και βουλευτάδες, τους ψευταράδες και τους μασκαράδες, που έδιωξε βασίλης και βουλευτάδες, τους ψευταράδες και τους μασκαράδες.
All right, thanks for give them a big round of applause. And now, first from our Greek panel, Judge.
Well, I mean, this was deep. Had intellectual depth, it had allegory, it had the rhythm, it resonated to my roots. I try to be unbiased, and therefore I give it 10.
Well, you know, at USC I have a lot of Greek colleagues. I used to have more. And somehow this combination of crooks, clowns, politicians, and Greeks, it just, well, I can't say anymore. But they had me. I was there, and then there was the dog. Actually, I found this one very charming because everyone played instruments. So I'm going to give it a 9.
There you go.
So we were supposed to model this after X Factor, and they not only had X Factor, they had a Y Factor, Z Factor. I give it a 10.
Oh.
It was all Greek and Latin to me.
Oh.
But
we can revisit briefly.
But no doggy pictures for me. What was with that anyway? I didn't get it. Oh, sorry. Very good-looking men. And awesome music.
I feel like there's a...
Don't be swayed. Go with your heart.
Tough.
No, come on, give a number.
Are you going to be on my panel? Sergio, what do you think?
Ooh.
I know that. 9.
9. All right. Okay. Please, everybody can vote for yourselves. We'll have a little bit of discussion among the panelists. You can, and then we'll wrap up. Yeah, we're doing the math. While we do the math.
So the discussion is public and open. So
Wait. Let's do some binary search here. So, Rutgers versus, let's do Rutgers versus Metu. Just let's have a quick here. So I'll do Rutgers first. So I want to applause and then Metu, all right? So Rutgers first. Okay. Metu? Oh my goodness. Okay. Then how about Metu versus the Greek Cabal? So let's do Greek Cabal first. Okay. So look, back to Metu in comparison. Clearly XYZ factor is very important to this mostly male audience. Take a look at relative scores, Sid, before you get cranky with me, young man.
So what are we doing now? Oh, change the scores. Yeah, you know, I feel. Yeah, I feel I sympathize and empathize with King Lear. I'm sitting here with 3 daughters, and I'm a little puzzled by their scorings. Okay, let's see. So is the idea to kind of increase the resolution of the game, not to have ties? Is that the...
Yeah.
Clearly, in my ratings, you can...
Dad, Lear, you need to reconsider the number.
Okay. All right, daughter.
So...
Can we have a 3-way tie?
I stay as I am. I mean, that's it.
Likewise.
Really? What? Look at the number there. The 7.5? Yeah. What do you want me to do? Are you gonna write our paper all by yourself, the next one? Then I give a 10 to the
Woohoo! Yeah. Recount. Salim, do you see that? Tara changed her Rutgers vote to a 10.
Okay, so do we change that to a 10? Okay, then it's easy. Okay, so in that case, I guess, so any other changes? Because we have to wrap it up?
Can we have ties or we shouldn't have ties? Doesn't matter. in the name of Greco-Turkish friendship, I want to rate the first and the last the same. So I've done it already.
But you did, so you're good.
Girls just want to have fun. 10, of course.
To what? What are you changing to?
Metu. Where's Austin? Oh.
I think we just
The
have
Greek?
to admit we have a three-way tie.
Just
We
make
have
it
a
a
three-way
three-way
tie.
tie, please.
And they each were good in such different ways. You know, it's like
Yeah.
comparing a Prosecco to Bordeaux. I mean, they're just very different animals.
Okay, so the first.
One small.
Is there
Alex,
anything
one
else?
second.
Yeah.
Anand deserves a special. Wait, one second. Anand is special because he was the voiceover for many of them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what a voice.
Anand was actually singing in half of the videos. I don't know if that was clear.
Right.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done it
Is
without.
the real talent behind most of these, is at least mine.
No, many of them.
He
Many of them.
produced it.
Alex, thank you. All these guys really worked really hard to do this. And
Thanks,
a lot,
everyone.
of course. The idea man.
Okay. And Lon has an announcement, and this is the end of our vision competition. So,
Just very brief. Just we're taking pictures outside, so just before sunset and so on. So we'll take a few pictures. Thank you.
Thanks, great job.